Back to those elites. For me, the most important term is not actually the elite. You can be part of the elite and still be on the side of the people. But elitism. Elitism is an ideology that prioritizes the interests of those at the top. And it's been the dominant ideology in American politics for the last few decades. A big part of elitism is globalism. The idea that we should put some vague notion of the global interest ahead of the national interest. Now, there was a story this week that is a perfect encapsulation of elitist globalist thinking, and I want to start with it tonight. It was reported that tech giant Google is working with the Chinese government to develop a search engine that implements the regime's censorship of information it doesn't like. This is part of Google's plan to get back into China after it pulled out in 2010 in protest at the Chinese government's hacking of Gmail. This story is very personal for me. The China part is personal because my parents are Hungarian. I know all about oppressive communist regimes, and believe me, that's what today's China is. The Google part is personal because my wife once worked there, and we now have a very comfortable life as a result. Some of Google's top executives are close friends. But you know me by now, when I think something is wrong, I'll say so, whomever it may offend. And this is not just wrong, it's shameful. Of course, it's not the whole story about Google. I use Google all the time. I'm sure you do too. It's important to be fair and reasonable. Google's products are useful, and that's why it's grown so big. But it's because it got so big that Google is now not just useful, but dangerous too. It is a leading force for elitism and globalism. It's the essence of globalism that businesses have no loyalty to their home country. For more than most corporations, America really is Google's home. Did you know that Google got started thanks to a program run by the US government? Google wouldn't exist if it wasn't for American taxpayers. Google once said its mission was to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. Its motto was, "Don't be evil." But now they floated off in a giant balloon of arrogance, untethered to any notions of loyalty or ethics. Google is helping America's #1 enemy, the evil communist dictatorship in China, to oppress its own people through censorship. Literally the exact opposite of what Google once stood for. Remember, too, that Google has built an artificial intelligence center in Beijing. Even though the Chinese regime is openly saying it will use artificial intelligence to achieve military and economic dominance over America. On top of that, Google recently pulled out of helping our own Defense Department with artificial intelligence. So Google, born of a US government program, won't work with our government to defend democracy, but is falling over itself to work with the world's worst despots to crush democracy. I know the word treason is thrown around too much these days, but that seems like a pretty good definition of it to me. This is Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai, someone I know personally. And now I'm talking to you, Sundar, directly. If you go through with this, it will show the world that you no longer believe in your own mission of making information available. You just want to make more money available to you. It will expose all those sanctimonious, high-minded tweets and statements about human rights and standing up for values as pure BS. It will confirm that Google is driven by one thing, maximizing GCP, greed, control, power. Of course, you wouldn't come on this show to defend yourself, and I know why. Partly, you just refuse to be accountable. But there's a worse reason. China told you not to talk about this. You're not only working with the communist dictators to censor in China, you're doing their bidding by censoring yourself in America. If you go ahead with this, I will come after you with everything I've got, and I won't be the only one. But there is still time for you to change. Don't do this. Do the right thing. In a phrase, don't be evil. All right, follow us at NextRevFNC and at Steve Hilton X, and let us know what you think.